Hey everybody, it's Bob Cenk, and thank you so much for joining me today for a very special training that I refer to as 59 Days to the Summit of Real Estate. Out of hundreds of things you could be doing right now, you chose to work on your real estate business, and I really respect and appreciate that. Today is all about training, so do me a favor and put your purses and wallets away. There's absolutely nothing for sale, so just relax. And do me a favor, please. Close your other browsers and put your cell phones away. That's right, put them away. Don't just turn them on silent and so you could see a message coming in. Put them away. Throw them out the window, actually. Because successful multitasking is absolutely positively just a myth. So give me your undivided attention and concentrate on learning some new ideas that will help you grow your business right now. So let's make sure we get this going and we have a great day. So as always, if you wouldn't mind just saying that you can see my screen all right, just type that into the box. I'd really appreciate that you can hear me okay. And while you're at it, why don't you also put in where you're from so I can acknowledge that as well. So one, whether you can hear me or not, whether you can see this screen, because I was like, it's best if you can actually see the screen that we have going on here. And yes, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Bellevue, Washington, audio and visual are okay. In Omaha, Nebraska, great reception. Ted from Wisconsin, somebody said hi, Bob, hi back. Southern California, Pennsylvania, hey, there we go. Miami, Florida, geez, love it. Look at this, Connecticut, tons. Well, thank you all so very much. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to go ahead and type that in. So let's talk a little bit about what my goal is for you today. Okay, well, my goal for you today is to share with you what it takes to implement some really unique ideas, most if not all of which are going to be brand new to you. In other words, you've not seen these before. Maybe some of you have a few of the things, but I promise there's going to be something that you haven't seen before. But guess what? They're also really easy to implement and cost little to no money. And they will catapult you. Think about that. Catapult you ahead of other agents in your market to the next level of success, whether you're working with buyers or sellers or both. I'm going to share techniques and sales tools that will absolutely get you a minimum of, get this, 2 more deals a month. That's right, a minimum, and almost effortlessly. Okay, almost effortless. Think about that. Think how great that's going to be. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you were able to work fewer hours to hit your income goals by differentiating yourself from other agents in ways that make clients into raving fans who remain loyal to you and pay you the commissions you deserve because your different methods get results. Listings sold faster and for top dollar, and dream homes bought at the perfect price. Like I said, today is all about training. There's absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, for sale. Just concentrate on learning some new ideas that will help you grow your business right now. And if you'll stick around to the end, I promise you that you'll take away at least one idea or a tool or a concept that will change your business forever, starting immediately. Plus, I'm going to give out my For Sale by Owner ebook on how to turn 5 hours a month into $63,000 a year in commission. That's right, 5 hours to $63,000. It lays my entire For Sale by Owner program out step by step. So stick around, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of it for yourself. There's a good chance that I was once where you are in your business right now, frustrated by an industry that seems to do the same things over and over again in the same tired, uninspired way. Tired of competing with the commission discounters, looking for fresh new ideas and ways to set myself apart from other agents and coming up empty-handed. I was able to break out of that cesspool and do really, really well in this business. And I did it by coming up with new and creative ways to solve industry problems, to make clients happy, and to differentiate myself from all the other agents in my market. And I'm going to share some of those strategies with you in today's workshop. As some of you know, I'm a coach for real estate and personal development, and the co-owner of a brokerage and a real estate team leader. But believe it or not, I've only been in this business for a bit over 8 years. In fact, it wasn't very long ago that I was a high-altitude mountain guide, taking clients to the tops of some of the highest mountains around the world. In fact, I went from a mountain in Russia to real estate in Pittsburgh. How's that for a career change? See, I was climbing a mountain in Russia called Mount Elbrus, and it was my birthday. It was actually my 40th birthday. My wife and kids were on my satellite phone. My kids were crying because I was away from home again. And right then and there, I decided that I was done with climbing mountains for a living. Yeah, it took me about 2 years to get out of it, but I was just ready, and it was time to change careers. I'd been buying a bunch of investment properties for a few years, and I kept complaining to my wife about the agents that were helping me. So she said, if you're that unhappy, why don't you become an agent yourself? So I did the next obvious thing and listened to my wife, and I took her advice, and I did it. I like to joke with people that, I got into the only business that I could find that was more dangerous than climbing mountains for a living, and that's the business of real estate. And I became what I refer to as a for sale by owner agent, because my initial motivation was to buy and sell my own properties. And then to everybody's amazement, and get this, including my own amazement, I did pretty well at it. In my first year in real estate, I closed 33 transactions. And by the way, I was out of the country for 6 months that first year. And in my second year, out of the country for 3 months, I closed 126. 4 years later, I opened my own brokerage and had the largest team in my market. Does that sound too good to be true? Well, I promise you, my success wasn't the result of luck or some magic tricks that I was able to perform. Nope, it wasn't. And it wasn't rocket science either. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I really worked hard at it. But my success can definitely be duplicated, especially since one of my greatest pleasures in life was being able to share with others, to guide others. And I don't know where you are right now in your business, whether you're just starting out and struggling to get your feet on the ground, or you're a top producer who's been in the industry for years. Whether you're in a large market or a small one, focused on listings or buyers, or like I said before, both maybe. It really doesn't matter where you are, frankly. I just want you to focus on implementing 2 or 3 things that'll help you get one more lead, or close one more deal, or increase your commission on your next sale. Does that sound fair? Do you believe you can do that? Ariane believed it. He's an agent from Florida that I've been working with for almost a year, who's been implementing one new idea after another in a very systematic way. That wasn't always the case, as he explained in a video he sent to me. He said, I was going after one shiny object after another. Sound familiar, everybody? That was the first thing Bob had me fix and taught me less is actually more. He had me implement systems one by one that add value to my prospects and clients, setting me way apart from my competitors. Now he's focused, working on implementing or perfecting just a few things at a time, and it's paying off for him in a big way. That's what I want for you today. Pick 2 or 3 things and implement them immediately. In fact, some of these strategies can be in place literally within minutes. That's right, within minutes. Whether you've put 20 deals together in the past year or just 2, and regardless of whether you've been in an industry for years or you're just starting out, as long as you have a burning desire to increase the number of deals you close by doing some really cool things, you came to the right place. Let's face it, guys and girls, competition is fierce, isn't it? There are way too many agents chasing too few deals. And I like to say chasing each other to the bottom of commissions, right? If you're tired of getting lost in the crowd, tired of doing things the way everybody else is doing them and getting their same mediocre results, then this webinar is tailor-made for you. At my business building workshops, and when I travel the country training agent teams for a couple of days or more, I like to start the training with a presentation I refer to as climbing to the summit. That's what we're going to cover today. Agents spend a fair amount of money to attend my 2-day business building workshops. And what you're about to see is an excerpt of how we get started on the very first day. And it's costing you nothing to get a piece of what others spent a lot of money to learn. I believe that I succeed when you succeed. And today I'm simply wanting to help you build your business. We're going to go through some pretty intensive training today. And then at the end, I'll invite you to talk with me one-on-one about the best ways to implement this training into your business. So I just told you that I was once a high-altitude mountain guide, leading clients to the tops of some of the highest mountains around the world. And I'm going to start by telling you what made me a successful mountain guide and how I've applied those same principles to achieve success in the real estate industry. I'd argue that whether you're climbing to the summit of a mountain or climbing to the summit of real estate, or any other profession for that matter, the principles are the same. And I'm going to share with you those all right now. Ready? Okay. These are not just some of the best ideas, but also some of the easiest to implement. That's why I start my live events this way, because the last thing I want to do is overwhelm people at the very beginning of a 2-day workshop. So I start with a bunch of ideas that are easy to grasp and easy to implement. That's what I'm going to share with you during this webinar. And all I ask in return is that you keep an open mind and pick out just a few ideas to implement. Does that sound fair? Okay, let's get started. All right. Focus on one task at a time. So I literally start my clients out with ropes. I hand out ropes. See, in climbing, people always stop because I was a mountain guide. I knew how to tie thousands of knots. And I would tell them, no, I know how to tie 4 knots. 4 knots so well, probably better than almost anybody else in the world, that when my life mattered, I could tie that knot. And one of them is a clove hitch. And I can remember being out in the front yard and hanging myself upside down and having my kids come and swing me and have my mittens on and having them hit me with their wiffle ball bats and everything else and practice tying this knot. And they would say to me, Dad, why are you doing this? I mean, we don't want to hurt you. And I told them, I said, well, would you rather me practice now when I control what's going on, or practice when I fall into a crevasse and I'm hanging upside down and swinging and hitting the walls and so forth and getting pelted by ice? And they got it. They knew that focus, because I didn't master everything. I mastered just a few things. I mastered this particular knot. And so practice ultimately makes you perfect. So think about, if you learned, I'll go back up, to tie this knot. How long would it take you to get good at tying this knot, tying the clove hitch? Some of you might say, that'll take me a few minutes. Some might say, oh man, hours. Maybe some a week. Maybe some 6 months, a year, 5 years. It doesn't matter. See, my point is that you've got to start. You've got to start practicing. You've got to have the focus and the attention to become a master of anything, not everything. So lead generation and marketing are skills that need to be practiced, perfected, and always improved. In fact, and you all know this, the more you practice, the better you will become. And for each of these ideas, I'm going to explain what to do, why you should do it, how to do it, when to do it, and finally, what's so great about it? In other words, what's the result and the benefit you should expect from each of these ideas? Let's start by tackling how to maximize buyer lead generation from every single listing. And it starts with one of the most universal tools for lead generation, the sign, used in every part of North America to market homes for sale. Here's where I put a little bit of a unique, situation here or spin on this. I believe in putting signs everywhere, and a lot of them. You want buyer leads, and you want other sellers to notice as well. So if they get frustrated with their current agent, they'll list with you. I believe you should put signs everywhere. The more, the better. And I suggest you put a unique selling proposition on your rider, like buy this home and make no payments for 6 months, or buy this home and I'll sell yours for free. Add the use of text messaging if you can, to give buyers multiple ways to reach you. And leave your picture off the sign, please. Nobody has ever bought a home based on what the agents look like. Instead, use that space on the sign to make your phone number as large as you can. I'll tell you this, every one of my listings gets at least 3 signs. My standard for sale sign, and with top and bottom riders, by the way, my everyday open house sign, which we'll talk about in a minute, and a sign that I got my lender to pay for, advertising the availability of a free pre-approval. And as you can see from the top photo, when I do something like a quick sale or a premiere showing, I literally litter the yard with signs. Nobody can miss my listings. And isn't that what you want? Some agents would say to me, your signs are obnoxious, or I hate the colors of your signs. And I'd say, so you notice them, huh? And they'd say, yeah, really, you can't miss them. Seriously, folks? You're trying to call attention to your listing. That's exactly the reaction you want. Can you see how more signs that have different offers and lead capture methods can get you more leads? You guys are getting this, right? Next, I'll show you how to attract more ready now buyers so you can book more showings. The everyday open house sign is one of the most effective home selling ideas I've ever implemented. Okay? I recommend that each one of you puts up one of these signs at every single one of your listings. See, I had this for sale by, or not for sale by, I had this listing of mine, and I call my sellers every single Friday. So I called John, and I said, hey, John, it's Bob. How are things going? And I have a script that I follow. And John said, Bob, I want an open house. And I said, John, I told you, remember I don't do open houses. My contract's only 1 day, so I can expire your home now. And he said, oh, no, I love everything you're doing, but I want an open house because my friends, cousins, brothers, sisters, aunts, nephews sold a home 7 years ago. Maybe it was 8 years ago at an open house. That's literally kind of now, of course, I'm embellishing that a bit, but that's basically what it was. It wasn't even a direct knowledge that somebody had sold an open house. He was just referring to somebody's friend who sold a house at an open house. So I said, John, I don't do them, but let me think about it. So I don't even think I waited until Monday. I think I called John on Sunday, and I said, you know what? I've got an idea. I'm going to open your house every darn day. He said, what? Whoa, slow down here. He said, no, I'm going to open it every single day. And so that's what I started doing. Open house every single day. And you'll be amazed at the increase in the number of interested buyers, many of whom aren't represented by an agent, which gives you the opportunity to work with them to find a home. You just have to be responsive when they call. If you don't take the call directly and they end up leaving a message, call them right back. Remember, chances are they're calling you while they're sitting in front of your listing, pulling your number right off the sign. So answer the call if you can. And if you can't answer directly, call them right back. Some buyers don't want to talk to an agent. So I've used pre-recorded descriptions of each listing so I can give them information on the home. That's why you see an ID number on the sign. It's unique to a single listing. Remember, we live in a Google society that expects immediate gratification, immediate answers, immediate accommodation. That's why the everyday open house sign works and works so well. Buyers love it because they think, we don't have to wait for Saturday or Sunday. We can see this home right now. And they're right. See, they call and say, hey, when's your next open house, Bob? And I say, when would you like it to be? How does tomorrow at 2 o'clock sound? What did I just do? I booked an appointment, right? And they can see the home as early as the next day. Sometimes if the seller's willing, even the same day. This sign will outperform any other sign you've used. Sellers love it because they recognize how unique it is. And they think it's hysterical when buyers actually knock on the door hoping to see the home immediately. This sign sells home. That's it. It's really that simple. It sells homes. And it attracts buyers who are in the market in need of an agent. Can you see how the everyday open house not only generates more showing requests, but also saves you from the dreaded open houses that your sellers ask for? The ones that take up your precious weekend afternoons. Can you see how this is a win-win? And while we're on this subject, do you know how to effectively use yard signs so you can generate more leads for listings? How about using a buyer sold sign? I'm always amazed at how many people don't do this. When you represent a buyer in purchasing a home, how many of you put your sign in the yard once the deal closes? That's called free advertising. So here's what you do. You get your buyer to sign a statement, like the one you see on the slide. I actually have it incorporated into what's called my buyer loyalty agreement. It says, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer of 123 Main Street gives permission to the Bob Cenk Group at Broadview Realty to place a for sale sign with a sold sign rider for 14 days after the closing date of the property. The Bob Cenk Group at Broadview Realty agrees to remove the entire sign after 14 days. And I've never had a buyer say no, not even one. So on closing day, the sign for the other agent that sold the home, had the listing, comes down and my sign goes up, along with one of my sold riders. And it stays up for 2 weeks. I can't begin to tell you how many new listings I've gotten as a result. I have sellers in the area call me and say, I've driven past that house for a year, always feeling sorry for the sellers, and they couldn't get it to move. And then you came along and got it sold in a day. Nice work. That's the reception anyway. And then they say, I'd like to talk to you about selling my home. When can we get together? You guys don't know why sign calls are so effective, because they're from people who are in the market to buy or sell right now. So why not maximize the goodwill from buyers who are delighted that you got them into the home of their dreams and get another sign in your yard to generate leads? Can you see how this just makes sense? And remember, who wants to see sold signs? Sellers. They want to see sold signs. Now, let's talk about how you can spend just 5 hours a month to generate $63,000 in commission every single year. First of all, I want you to remind you that for sale by owners are potential clients too. The sign you see pictured on this slide, I put those up on for sale by owners at no cost and with no obligation. Yep, that's right. I come at for sale by owners from an entirely different angle than anybody else in the market. In fact, I have an entire for sale by owner program that teaches the philosophy and has all the tools. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through the entire program today. That's an entire webinar in and of itself. For now, I just want to think differently about, I want you to start thinking differently about for sale by owners and what they're all about. So here's what I do. I offer them help in selling their own home. I give them helpful tips and marketing ideas and sales tools like my home selling brochure that they can duplicate and use, all at no cost or obligation. That's right, listen to that. No cost or obligation. Simple, right? And here's what I don't do. I don't try to persuade them to list with me. I don't tell them that they'll never be successful in selling their own home. I simply offer to help them and let nature take its course. We all know the statistics, right? Only about 11% of for sale by owners actually sell their own homes. And what do the rest do? Well, 80% of those end up listing with an agent. And I make sure that agent is me by behaving differently. That's right, behaving differently than all the other agents, by being supportive and helpful and encouraging, by helping to educate them on the home selling process, just like I would for any seller. When they get frustrated with trying to sell their own home, who are they more likely to turn to for help? Us, the agents who have actually been helping them, not selling them. What a concept. Give before you receive. Do you guys see how this approach is way better than anything else? Why does my approach work? Well, in large part it's because I don't buy into the myths that other real estate agents believe about for sale by owners. In my experience, 95% of them will pay the buyer commission. And the other percent, I just don't work with them. You see, the vast majority of for sale by owners are happy to work with an agent if they think that agent can bring them value. Value in the form of buyers who have an interest in their home. Value in the form of a higher sales price and a faster sale and more effective marketing and so on. So the key is for you to demonstrate that value without asking for anything in return. And once they conclude that they can't do it alone, that they can't do what you can do, they'll reciprocate by giving you the listing. We all know how complicated it is to sell a home, and we do it for a living. No matter how smart and capable the for sale by owners might be, their chances of being able to sell their own home are pretty darn slim. To me, that spells opportunity to help them avoid paying commission, to help them to avoid tire kickers, to help them get the benefits of an MLS listing, to help them follow up with interested buyers, to help them get more exposure so you can help them sell their home. See, that's a different approach to working with for sale by owners, isn't it? And it works. You get your buyers into homes that are off market. You get commission if you're successful in bringing the buyer. And when the seller gets frustrated, you get the listing. If you focus on just 5, and that's right, 5 for sale by owners at any one time, that's about 5 hours of work. 2 of them will list with you every month, and at least one of those will sell, netting you $63 a year in commission. That's right, $63,000 a year in commission. Can you see how easy it is to turn a few hours of work each month into a small fortune in commission? Can you do this? Well, Steve Kennelly can. He's been following the same process for me, and now you couldn't pry him away from for sale by owners. He sent me this email last year. It says, Bob, I wanted to give you a brief update. I just got my first for sale by owner listing under contract, and I found the buyer. This one for sale by owner listing has led to another listing for $323,000, and I have another listing appointment scheduled this week. The number of buyers and sellers I'm getting from this one listing is awesome. By taking action, the ripple effect of this one listing has started some exciting momentum. Thank you. See, that's a powerful testimonial, isn't it? And let me assure you, you can get the same results as Steve has gotten. 5 hours a month to get $63,000 a year in commission. And by the way, and not to raise the bar on you, but Steve blew past that number in less than 6 months. That's right, less than 6 months. He's well over $110,000 in 10 months in gross commission, $88,000 in net commission in 10 months. How many of you want to sell your listings faster? If you can decrease That's right, decrease the average days on the market by 18%, you can get paid faster, right? So I'm about to show you another approach that's very different than what you're used to. I told you we're going to be different today. If you want to stand out against the sea of other agents, you have to be different. And all the while, you have to demonstrate value to your clients. So let me ask you this. What if you're the listing agent and something's just not working in selling a home? Let's assume you've taken care of the 3 basics in selling a home. You've got it priced correctly, it's clean, neat, and shows well, and you've got all the right marketing in front of the potential buyers. And you've got showings, maybe plenty of them, but no offers. What do you do about that? Well, I've been in this situation before. In fact, I was in that situation so many times that I decided to do something about it. More times than not, once I diagnosed the problem, I was led to a really unfortunate conclusion. That the problem wasn't with the price, showability, or marketing. It's with the agents representing the interested buyers. They didn't follow up. Or they had poor objection handling skills and couldn't convince the buyers that the color of the walls in the kitchen could actually be changed to something they liked. Most of the time, they hadn't sold many homes and were simply inexperienced with writing contracts, maybe even a little intimidated by the process. So I started thinking about how I could overcome their challenges so I could get my listings sold. And I came up with something I call the reverse offer system. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive. It's about helping the buyer's agent help themselves. So how does it work, you ask? Well, first of all, when I receive positive feedback on a showing through my home feedback system, I send the buyer's agent an email. It includes a contract already filled out with all the seller's information, including the lowest price they're willing to accept on the home, which is often, by the way, full price. I send a copy of the pre-inspection report and confirmation of the home warranty. And I include a letter from the seller that answers the 4 questions every buyer asks about a home. And those 4 questions are, what's the lowest price at which you're willing to sell? Why are you moving? When are you planning to move, or when would you like to move? And what did you like about living there? And to seal the deal, I include in the email an offer from the seller to add $500, $1,000, whatever, to the buyer agent's commission if they deliver a signed contract within 24 hours. Do you think that works? Do you think that puts deals together that might not have come together otherwise? You bet it does. I wish I'd kept track of every deal I put together this way. It's unbelievable. Do you see how much sense this makes, being different, being proactive instead of reactive? And what's it take? Some coordination with the seller to write a letter, and I provide them with a template and get it done in advance, by the way. And the 15 minutes it takes to draft an agreement and send it to the agent, it's quite easily done. The reverse offer system knocks about 18% of your average days on the market. You get a happy client, and you get paid 18% faster. Do you think any other sellers are making those same buyers an offer? Do you think that helps differentiate you? Do you think you could sell homes faster? Do you think when you show a seller, when you're at a listing appointment, that you do this kind of thing, then it might set you apart, that they might be more inclined to hire you than somebody else? Of course, it works that way too. And speaking of putting a smile on your face, this next one puts a smile on mine every single time. We're going to discuss a simple technique that will allow you to double your exposure to buyers who are searching for a home online. I came up with this idea one day. I was scrolling through a bunch of listings on our MOS. I'd done it so many times that I knew the homes that were available simply by looking at their photo. See, I was acting as if I was a buyer, and I wanted to see what a buyer went through. And what typically happens, as you guys know, a front photo showing the home and yard and landscaping are always there. And then I realized that I was doing what any other agent would do, or any buyer that was using a search tool to look for available properties. If I'd seen that photo before, I'd skip past it the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And then I had a second thought. I said to myself, different things about a home appeal to different people. For example, if you look at the 6 photos on this slide, you'll be able to pick right away which one is your favorite. At a recent business building workshop, there was a husband and wife team from Florida sitting at the head of the table. Before I'd even explain the slide, I asked them each, one at a time, which of the 6 photos they liked the best. Guess what? They each picked a different photo. He liked the view of the garages because, as she said, he has a lot of tools and stuff. And she liked the one that best showed the landscaping. That happens every time I ask a husband and wife which they like best. They always choose different photos, and they immediately realize the value of this simple marketing tool. So I put those two thoughts together, skipping past photos that a buyer has seen before and the fact that different photos appeal to different people. And I came up with just an easy idea. Here's what I'd suggest you do. It'll take 5 minutes at the most to take multiple photos of the front of your listing, whether you have a photographer doing it or you're just doing it yourself. So take the few minutes, take the photos, and then rotate them every other week. You'll find that agents and buyers that were skipping past before based on that front photo will stop and look closely based on another. It's all in what catches their interest. So maximize your opportunity to catch their interest by showing them a different photo every other week. Can you see how this can just double your exposure to buyers who are searching online? How long would it take you or your photographer to take a few extra pictures? Just a couple of minutes, like I said before. Do you think your sellers will appreciate this? Are other agents doing this? It's simple, but clients love it. So put this into your listing presentation. It's really that easy. And here's another easy one that overcomes some of the hardest challenges that every single agent who's ever taken a listing experiences. How to get sellers to agree to your listing price so the home sells and they see you as the expert. Most sellers think their home is worth way more than it actually is. You've definitely had that experience, right? How many of you let the seller talk you into listing the home for more than you thought the home was worth, with the inevitable price reductions and frustrated sellers that follow? I don't let that happen anymore. Instead, this is what I do. I use a 4-part home equity evaluation to avoid those arguments. It's thorough and impressive looking, and the seller just can't argue with the recommendations because I've done my homework and brought them proof. Now, maybe you're not prepared to be this thorough, so at least take a comparative market analysis or CMA to your listing appointment. Demonstrate your knowledge of the neighborhood and of the market in general. And by the way, instead of calling it a CMA, call it an equity evaluation. If you want to be viewed differently, then don't talk the same as the other agents. Don't present the same way. And if you can't find the 15 minutes to put one together beforehand, at least take along a sample of an evaluation. I overachieve with my equity evaluations because I want to stand out from the crowd, especially if the sellers are interviewing multiple agents. Your listings will sell if they are priced correctly, and your sellers will be happy because they get a sale at or very close to their listing price. Here's a PS, by the way. The home equity evaluation works great for negotiating with the buyer's agent as well. I just show them my supporting documentation and ask them, hey, this is everything I did. I really want to put a deal together. Let me know what we missed. What do you think they say? They look at it and, oh, wow, this is amazing. And we get the deal together. You see how a little bit of preparation can position you as the expert and give you the ability to set a listing price that your sellers will immediately agree to. Do you know how to double the potential buyer market for one of your listings just by using one simple technique? I'm going to start by asking you a question. How does every MLS search tool work when it comes to pricing? How does a buyer search for a home? What's the answer? By entering a price range, right? So let's look at this slide. Let's say a buyer is searching for a home between $250,000 and $300,000. So why do agents price a home at, let's say, $249,900? That psychology may work at Walmart as a way to get you to buy something by pricing it at a $9.99 instead of at $10. But based on the way search engines work, it makes absolutely no sense to price a home at $249,900. Why? Because anybody searching for a home at $250,000 and up just missed that home for the sake of $100. It didn't come up on their search results at all, even though they may have loved the home and would have jumped on it, especially because it was at the low end of their price range. Similarly, pricing the home at $251,900 misses the buyer searching from $200,000 to $250,000. Do you think your sellers would gladly drop their price from $251,900 to $250,000 to get a sale? Of course they would, but they never had the opportunity because the buyer never even saw their home. So what's the lesson here? It's simple. Pay attention to the price brackets for the search tools in your market and try to straddle two price ranges. If you think the home is worth $245,000, for example, consider listing it at $250,000 so you can catch the brackets in the example above. Both the $200,000 to $250,000 bracket and the $250,000 the 300,000 bracket. I've seen agents make this mistake over and over again, but now you're smarter and wiser. Don't miss a potential buyer for the sake of a few dollars. Pay attention to bracket pricing. And by the way, I use this slide in my listing presentation as just another piece of evidence that I work differently than other agents. And that's where the value comes into the seller. I'm different. I'm delivering value. Can you see how this one simple technique will expose your listing to twice as many buyers? Did you guys think about this before today? Hey, let's switch gears and talk about buyers for a few minutes. I'm going to show you how to match buyers that have specific home buying criteria with your newest listings so you can get sales faster and get both sides of a deal. I call it my buyer in waiting program. Why do I call that? Because that's what they are. Buyers are waiting for the perfect home to come on the market. They have to wait, right? You can't force somebody to sell. But if you're dealing with a lot of buyers, or even a few, it may be difficult, if not impossible, to know what each of them is waiting for. I've seen situations where two agents sitting side by side in the same brokerage, one with a listing and one with an interested buyer, didn't connect to put a deal together until months after they are working with their prospective sellers and buyers. And they both laughed at how quickly they put a deal together once they realized they had both parties to the deal all along. And how much time and money did they waste in the process? Has that ever happened to you? So I decided to be more systematic about it. It works like this. Every time I work with a buyer, I record their price range and area, like their neighborhood or school district. It works best if you can put that information in a field in your CRM package. But if that's not available, any field will do. Then every time you get a new listing, search your CRM package for buyers that match. Call them right away and get them scheduled for showings. It's that simple. I'm sure two things have already occurred to you. First, this works really great for agent teams. And second, you get the chance to double end a deal. Pretty sweet, huh? And does that take a lot of work? Nope. Like I said, today I'm going to show you ideas that are easy to grasp and easy to implement. Ideas like this one that will absolutely make a difference in your business. Can you see how you can sell homes faster, put more two-sided deals together simply by knowing the desired price range or location for your buyers? Or for your team members' buyers, right? It's really that easy to do. And this next one is going to make you think. I call it how to focus on fewer buyers and close 25% more deals. What's the key word there? Jared just typed the word focus into chat. You're right, Jared. It is focus. This is an example of the old adage that sometimes more is less. More focus on fewer buyers to close more deals. Doesn't that sound like a contradiction at first? Work with fewer buyers to close more deals. So why do you think that works? It works because if you're like me, at one time or another, you find yourself working with more buyers than you could handle. Maybe that's always the case for you or for the agents on your team. You weren't returning calls when you should, or you weren't able to schedule showings that were requested, or you missed a sale because you didn't find the time to write up an offer. Has that ever happened to you? It was happening to my agents on my team in a big way. We were generating a ton of buyer leads, and each buyer specialist was working with as many as 30 to 40 buyers, and even more sometimes. But you know what? We weren't closing as many deals as we could have. They were working ridiculous hours, but they weren't closing deals. So we came up with the famous 15 buyer program. And our closing shot up by 25%. Here's how it works. Force yourself to focus on a maximum of 15 buyers at any one time. Rank them in order of their importance and define importance as who's moving fastest toward a closing. Your three best, that's right, your three best buyers, then your 10 in the middle, and your 2 at the bottom. Develop a list of criteria or milestones, such as whether they've been pre-approved and their price range and the last time you showed them homes, and keep track of that criteria. Make every interaction with them an opportunity to move them toward the goal line, which is what? The closing, by getting them to focus on the next step towards closing, and then reprioritize your list every week. And if you get a new buyer, one that should be on the spreadsheet because they're a serious ready now buyer, put that buyer in place of one of the buyers at the bottom of your list. Less really is more. It takes discipline to stop working with a buyer. But I'll tell you this, if you're willing to apply that discipline like I've just shown you, You won't believe what a difference it will make in your business. You'll focus your time and energy on fewer buyers, and you'll close more deals, guaranteed. The key word here is focus, like Jared said. Just create a simple spreadsheet like this one and keep it right in front of you at all times. Can you see how less is more? How focusing on fewer buyers can help you close 25% more deals. Doesn't that sound like a lot more money for a lot less work? Let's shift gears for a minute and talk about creating lasting impressions with your buyers and sellers, so they'll remember you long after their deals have closed and refer to you, their friends and families. Let's face it, referrals are the very best, right? I'm talking about specifically about marketing materials, buyer and seller leave behinds. I'm a firm believer that another simple and effective way to differentiate yourself as an agent who brings value is to educate your clients. You do this thing called real estate for a living. They don't. So help them understand the process of buying or selling a home. Give them tips and suggestions and guidance that will help them in the buying process or the selling process and help them move along more quickly and more effectively. They may seem really basic to you, but to someone who's never bought or sold a home before or who last did it years ago, the golden nuggets of wisdom you provide them could be priceless. There are countless materials available in the industry for this purpose, so blow the dust off that stack buried in the corner of your desk. And if you can't find what you're looking for, just contact me and I'll help. And when you present something to a buyer or a seller, don't just hand it to them. Flip it open. Show them one or two key points or sections that you'd like them to read and tell them why, like the steps they should take to prepare their home for showings or the importance of getting a home warranty with the purchase of a home. They will appreciate the education, and you'll appreciate their help in taking the steps necessary to buy or sell their home. The faster people make decisions and the better the decisions they make, the faster we get paid. Do you see how an educated client can make better decisions and then brag about you afterwards? That's how referrals come in, isn't it? Easy, right? Speaking of referrals, let's talk about another technique for generating them. I've given this to tons of agents who are generating 2 or more client referrals a month while spending less than 15 minutes a day to do it. This is a program that's responsible for converting prospects into clients and clients into raving fans. And what do raving fans do? They provide referrals. I believe so strongly in the use of thank you cards that I train on it at least 1 hour on a webinar. That's right, 1 hour of training on thank you cards. Today you'll get the abbreviated version. Here's the long and short of it. You need to send thank you cards. Even better if they're handwritten and personalized. They're definitely a referral generating machine. Now, so many agents tell me, I send out thank you cards all the time. You're trying to sell people in your card. You have your pretty picture on it of you. You're saying, referrals are appreciated inside it. You're selling. You're not saying thank you. You're putting your business card in. You're not saying thank you. It's a thank you card. Make sure it just says thank you. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. Go ahead and handwrite your phone number in. But the job here is for you to contact the client, not the client to contact you. Don't make it a sales card. A thank you card is just that, a thank you card. I had a client, his name's Sean Green, and he's a police officer, a sheriff here in my market. And I'd met with him, showed him our buyer presentation, and then we followed up with him, of course, following up with him all the time. And he led us to believe that he was going to be working with his wife's cousin because the wife's cousin was also in real estate. And so we're going on and with follow up. And finally, he called us one day and he said, hey, I'm ready to go. I need you to help me buy a home. And we were like, well, hey, Sean, I kind of thought you were going with your cousin. What's going on here? And he said, you know what? I talked it over with my wife, and I've met with so many real estate agents. He's a sheriff, so he got to meet with a lot of real estate agents. He said, literally, you're the only one that ever wrote me a thank you. And I appreciated it so much that I wanted to reciprocate with my business. How's that? I got that business from a simple courtesy, a thank you card. So who should get one? In my opinion, the more the merrier. Send them to everybody, buyers, sellers, your title company, your mortgage partner, a team member, even the co-broke agents on your deals. Don't you want excellent relationships with them too? This is one of the easiest things for you to generate additional business in the form of repeat buyers and sellers and referrals. But you know what I say? The easiest things to do are sometimes the hardest things to do because they're easy not to do. Don't let that happen with you. That's right. The easy things to do are the hardest things to do. That was Jim Rohn, and I added because they're easy not to do. This isn't a can't-miss addition to your personal habits. Take 15 minutes every morning to write 1 or 2 cards. To the sellers that just had you over for a listing appointment. To the buyer that you showed homes to the day before. You won't believe how easy it is. Let me show you an email I got from Greg Waldman, a really terrific agent from Parker, Colorado. Greg says, Bob, I had a listing appointment last night that resulted from a thank you card. The seller is a paralegal, high C personality, and she was blown away by the materials learned from your business building workshop. I'm including her comment regarding the pricing of her home. And his seller's comment was, I am comfortable with that figure. The equity evaluation says it all, and of course, I defer to your expert opinion. Hey, just realize, nice mention of the equity evaluation we covered a few slides back, right? Do you see what an impact it made on the seller? But back to the topic at hand. Greg got a listing appointment that resulted from a thank you card. I strongly suspect that if it works for Greg and me and for hundreds of other agents who have downloaded my free thank you card kit, it will work for you. This is another idea that you can implement immediately. Can you afford 15 minutes a day to get at least 2 new clients a month? Okay, now I'm going to show you one of the best performing USPs or unique selling propositions I have. Let's talk about how you can increase your win rate on listings and work only with loyal buyers. And you're going to especially like this idea for pursuing for sale by owners and expireds. We tell our clients that our goal is to go above and beyond, to always exceed their expectations, and we guarantee it. How? By telling them during the listing presentation that their satisfaction is guaranteed. If for whatever reason they become dissatisfied with our service, they can just fire us with just a phone call or an email, no registered letter, and no hoops to jump through. We tell them it's that simple and that we won't tie them into a long-term contract if we're not meeting or exceeding their expectations. Can't you see how this relieves the apprehension they're feeling about signing a listing agreement? Don't you think, haven't you heard about, and don't you think they remember or have heard from their friends and family the horror stories about agents that worked hard for the first 30 days of a new listing, and then when the listing didn't sell, seemed to disappear into thin air, leaving them with only a contract that had them trapped for another 11 months of misery? And what about for sale by owners and expireds, the sellers who have consciously and deliberately chosen not to work with an agent, especially the expireds? Do you think the one-day listing agreement puts them at ease? So they'll sign with you in the knowledge that they won't get burned again. Can you see how this one simple approach can add 10 percentage points or more to your win rate on listings? And you know what? It works with buyers too. This is the text that's in my VIP buyer loyalty agreement. It makes the same sort of commitment to buyers that we just described for sellers. How many of you have had difficulty getting a buyer to sign a loyalty agreement? I promise you, this will take away all their fears and apprehensions. Can you see how easily it is to persuade someone to work with you when they're not feeling trapped? You've all heard the saying that first impressions matter, right? Well, let's talk about how we can apply that thinking to increase our conversion rate on buyer and seller appointments and get referrals in the process. This is another small touch that, like the thank you card we covered earlier, that takes about a minute to do. See, I love those things that take no time to do, but leaves a lasting impression on your clients. It's a simple welcome sign placed somewhere near the entrance to your office. Or if you're lucky enough to have a monitor at the entrance, you could simply have it there. Here's what you do. Before every appointment, when someone is meeting with you at the office, go onto your computer, go to the file, change the name, print it out in color, and put it in a clear sign holder. Then simply display the frame on the desk or counter. So when they walk in, it's the first thing your prospective clients see. Why do it? Because right away it starts to show the client that you're different than any other real estate agent they ever met. It makes the clients feel special and gets the meeting off on the right foot. In fact, I suggest you do it anytime a client comes into the office for an appointment, to sign a contract, for a closing, to sign paperwork, anything. You know what? In addition to making a great first impression, it makes you memorable. It shows that you go the extra mile for your clients. Can you see how this simple act of hospitality can create a positive first impression that results in a new client? Now, how long would it take you to implement welcome signs? No time at all, right? And speaking of implementation, here's what I want you to do right now. Take out a piece of paper and write down no more than 3 ideas that you just learned. Ideas that make sense to you to add to your business right now. And I want you to hang on to that piece of paper and have it available for future reference, especially if we do the one-on-one strategy session I mentioned earlier. On the next 2 slides, I'll put up a list of everything we talked about today so you can refresh your memory. Are you ready? Here's the first list for you. And as you can see, based on experience with many other agents, I put an estimate of the number of days it will take you to get the idea fully implemented. There's more signage, an everyday open house, and the for sale by owner program, and the buyer sold sign, and reverse offers, rotating front photos, and the equity/price evaluations. And here's the rest of the tools and programs we reviewed today. There's price bracketing and buyer in waiting, my famous 15 buyer program, the seller and buyer leave behinds, the thank you cards, my 1-day buyer and seller guarantees, and finally, the welcome sign. You math wizards out there already added all these up in your heads. For the rest of us, let me ask you a question. Remember when I asked you about a half hour ago, how long would it take you to get good at tying a knot? Well, this is a little more difficult, but not much more, because these ideas are fairly simple, straightforward, and easy to implement. So how long do you think it would take to implement them all? Well, here's the answer. Only 59 days, less than 2 months to add all these concepts and approaches to your business. And that's over-exaggeration of how much time it takes. Sound easy? Well, it's not. Of course it's not. It takes more work. And you really, really hyped up action takers out there, you could probably do it in half that time. Guys and gals are on this call today precisely because you're not afraid of work, because you want to learn, and because you're willing to work on your business and not just in your business. So let me ask you a question. Did you enjoy this training? Can you see how small tweaks can make a huge difference in your business? Can you see how when you differentiate yourself from other agents and provide a better customer experience, you'll create raving fans and referrals? On this webinar, we've been covering some easy to implement ideas that you can use today, not tomorrow, but today. Let me ask you this. Are you tired of chasing down business versus attracting it with powerful marketing and positioning? Are you tired of losing business to commission discounters? You don't know who to hire next to create the leverage you need to have a life. You're tired of not having the marketing required to turn your listings into additional closings. And are you tired of not receiving at least 2 referrals from each and every client? Or of giving a world-class performance on a listing appointment, only to lose out to an average agent? And are you tired of less than ideal income because you're not receiving the commissions and fees you deserve? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I may be able to help. I'm looking for a few select real estate professionals that I can personally help explode their business. If you're that professional, I will personally work with you in your business to help you double, triple, or maybe even quadruple your revenue over the next 12 months. That's what I did with Daphne Anderson. I taught Daphne one simple lead generation technique for listings. She took action, doing that one simple task 5 days a week. And in just 2 weeks, she already put more deals together than she did all of the previous year. Pretty cool, huh? So, you may be wondering, I would like some help exploding my business. What's the first step? Okay, let's talk about how we can do the same for you. We'll get you on the phone, and first we'll create a strategic plan to bring in more sales and increase income per sale immediately. Second, we'll talk about who to market to and what you should send to them for best results. Third, we'll cover the systems you need to use to automate your whole process. Fourth, you'll discover how to attract more referrals and make the most of your database or build one from scratch. And finally, we'll talk about getting others doing most of the rowing for you by assembling the right team. And by the way, a team doesn't necessarily mean a team of agents. At the end of the call, 1 or 2 things will happen. The first possibility is that you'll love the plan and decide to implement it on your own. If that's the case, I'll wish you the best of luck and ask that you keep in touch with me to let me know how you're doing. The second possibility is that you'll love the plan and ask what programs and options I have to offer so I can personally help you execute, maximize, and profit from it as soon as possible. And if that's the case, we'll knock it out of the park, and that's a promise. So you may be wondering, what programs and options do you offer? Well, we offer everything from online training programs to group coaching masterminds and even 2-day live implementation workshops. But since I don't know anything about your business or your goals, I have no idea what option would help you receive the fastest results in a minimum amount of time. Make sense? And that's why we got to get on a call together to talk about where you are and where you want to be in the business so we can see if I can help you. So if you feel like a call with me would be a good fit for you, submit your application and let's talk. Head over to strategysession.info. That's right, strategysession.info, and fill out the quick form. Once you fill out the form, you'll be taken to my calendar where you can schedule a call that best fits your schedule. It's really that simple. Here's how it will work. First, we get on the phone and go over your business. I take a look at what you've got, what you're doing, and what you want to achieve going forward. Once we have those raw materials, I'll help you come up with a strategic plan of action to immediately increase your leads, your closings, and your profits dramatically. There are a number of ways I might do this for you. For example, I might show you how to restructure your marketing to help you generate more leads, how to save other people from not working for you, how to help them, show your clients how you add more value than the competition and get paid more for it, or how to reactivate past customers and how to get new referrals. And if you have a list of prospects, we'll whip up a quick follow-up plan that you can run within days and have you going to closings, the title company, over and over again, which means thousands of dollars in your pocket. And like I said, there's no charge for the strategy session. You can literally be on, just a few minutes, a few tweaks, and you're doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling your business. But do you know which tweaks you need to make? That's the question. Now, why would I offer such an unbelievable deal? Well, first of all, I enjoy it. This type of thing is what I do best. It makes me very, very happy to see someone achieve financial success and all that comes with it as a result of the help I give them. Second of all, it's how I build my inner circle. Here's how it works. Assuming you're happy with the plan and we both feel like we are a good match for each other, I let you know which of the offerings would best be a fit for you. And if it makes sense to you, great. And if it's not, then completely fine too. Actually, during our conversation, which is free by the way, I can give you a plan to take 10 times more than any investment. That's right, you'll make 10 times more than any other investment. So you'll see the value by the time we hang up on the phone without even investing a dime. And again, if what we have to offer isn't a fit, don't worry about it. You won't get any sales pitch or pressure from me of any kind ever. Again, guys and gals, if you feel like this call may be a fit for you, fill out the application and let's talk. Head over to strategysession.info and fill out the quick form. Once you fill out the form, you'll be taken to my calendar where you can schedule a call that best fits your schedule. It's really that simple. But hey, a word of caution is in order. Today's training was for everybody, but our help is not. I'm very selective about who I speak with, and I've got a strict but reasonable set of criteria that needs to be met in order for us to proceed. First, you have to be closing deals already. This offer is for real estate professionals who are up and running already and simply want to run a lot faster and a lot farther. Second, you must have a good reputation. Everything we do together will not only be bringing you more leads, closing, and profits, but we'll be doing it in a way that creates massive goodwill in your market. In other words, you have to add value. And the third thing is that you must follow directions. And don't worry, I won't ask you anything weird, I promise. After all, if you don't actually implement the stuff I give you, neither one of us will make money. So that's it. Those are all of my requirements. Here's a guy that fit that profile and that I just described perfectly. He's an agent from Tennessee who had closed a few deals but wanted to go much further and faster in his business. He's a retired medical doctor with a terrific reputation in his community. And he was completely willing to take direction from me. He signed up for a strategy session, and we had a great discussion centered around for sale by owners. So let me read you the email he sent me just a few days ago. He said, Bob, just had to share this one with you. To your credit, happened into a yard sale with a for sale by owner sign in the yard. I had ordered by faith, by the way, for sale by owner signs with call to see this awesome home, my design. I mentioned that I'd be happy to help by providing a better looking sign. I always used a fancy post, so it looked pretty darn good. They said they'd like to try it. They did for 2 weeks, then called to list the home. I put the signs up, including an open house every day sign with my number, a $210,000 transaction with a 30-day close, sold the first day after responding to a call on that $3 sign. That strategy session worked for Keith, and he's good but not unique. What worked for him can work for you. Here's what I want you to do next. If you meet the criteria we just reviewed and would like to talk to me personally about getting you incredible results, then I'll happily set aside some time for you. First, you need to fill out an application. Don't worry, it's simple. I just need to get an idea of where you are and what you want to accomplish. And here's what will happen after that. Once I have your application and you've told me a good time to chat, I'll send you an email to confirm the date and time for our call, which will last between 45 and 60 minutes. This is where we can really start to begin to figure out exactly what you want and how to make that happen. I'll painstakingly review your goals, your team, your marketing, and so forth. If you see the value in receiving some help, great. We could talk about that too. And if you don't want my help, that's okay too. No big deal. And if you tell me I've wasted your time, I'll give you $100 immediately. So you literally can't lose. By the way, I've never had anyone feel like their time was wasted, ever. That's why I can make this offer. I deliver. Would anyone else take such a risk? So time is a factor, guys and gals. This opportunity is extremely limited because of the intense time needed to provide you with results. So it's physically impossible for me to work with more than a handful of people. So with that said, know that the window of opportunity won't be open for long. If you feel like this is the right fit for you, fill out your application and let's talk. Conversations are granted on a first-come, first-served basis. So with that, I'll thank you for being on the call with me today on today's training. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. So what questions you have about today's content or about setting up a one-on-one call for me, go ahead and type those in now, and I'll do my very, very best to answer any questions that you might have. All right, let me take a look here. All right. Let's see here. Can you please post the link here? I absolutely can. No problem. I believe I can. It is www. I'm not typing in. I'll just put it into chat. www.strategysession.info. Okay. I just sent it to everybody. So there you go. Bob, we had a telephone yesterday. We can get another one set up based on today's ideas. Yes, we can. Always good to hear you. Oh, good to hear from you too. All right, see. Any questions? I need some questions. All right, there's one about the one-day listing. Let me just read it real quick. All right, it's a common question. People say, well, in my market, I have to put on for a year. That's fine. What you're doing is basically telling people that your contract's only for one day. If they don't like you, they can fire you at any time. It doesn't mean you have to put the contract on for one day and then another day and another day. You're just making them the guarantee and not say, I see a lot of agents say, well, I guarantee that anyway. Well, that doesn't come across that way. One day listing, you can fire me at any time, is much more powerful, and it becomes a lead generation. And when you present this to a for sale by owner or expired, you will see the fear leave their face. So don't be afraid of the one day listing. On a for sale by owner yard sign, do you provide your 800 number with extension number? Yes, we do. So somebody's asking about the for sale by owner sign. We put up a sign. When somebody calls in, it says, if you're an agent and would like to talk directly to the seller, press 1. If you're a buyer and would like to talk directly to the seller, press 2. Those calls go directly to the seller. Now, we have also kept track of those calls, and if the seller has given us permission to follow up with those calls, we will. But if they haven't, then we don't. But on our phone call with that seller that we have every week, we're always saying, hey, I see you had 3 agents and 5 buyers call you. How's that going? Were you able to call them back? And what we have always found is that they never call those people back. It's extremely rare. So, and then ultimately, we're trying to get them closer to working with us, right? And we're showing our value. They'll say, you know what, why don't you just call them back? Great, I want to sell your home. I want to bring the buyer in. And now we're communicating with those buyers that have called because we've captured their number. So great question, though. All right, I need some more questions. Any more questions? Remember, it's www.strategysession.info. All right, buyer in waiting. There's a buyer in waiting question. Let me just read it. Everybody just give me a second. And I'm only going to be on for a couple more minutes because I know we're past the hour mark. I appreciate so many people still being on. Okay, buyer in waiting. You need to understand we track the area and the price range somebody is in. Okay, so if we find a home that's in the price range of somebody, we send it to them, even if it's not in their area. And we tell them we're going to do this because they tend to have friends and family that are looking in the same price range as they are, maybe not in the same area, and they might refer that listing to somebody else. Okay, same through with area. If we know somebody's looking in a particular area and we have a home and it doesn't meet their price range, we've seen many times where buyers' parents are also buying a home 2 or 3 times more expensive or 2 or 3 times less in the same area. When we send it to them, they then refer us to that client. So that's buyer in waiting. And we're sending them homes that aren't on the market yet. They're not even on the market. Buyers want what no one else has access to. So it creates that sense of urgency, and you end up getting the home sold faster. Okay, and ultimately, you get paid faster, and the sellers are really happy too. Okay. See, any more other questions? All right. Well, I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you had an absolutely great day. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be on today's call. I like to always end every call with good luck this week, and more importantly, good climbing. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon.